All right, so in this video, we're gonna be talking about a client of ours who recently launched here in early 2025. We're gonna be talking about how we helped this client who's never run cold traffic ads before, advertising to people who have never heard of them before, driving them to live and automated evergreen webinars that run every single week. These webinars consistently produce a 3x return on their ad spend, meaning for every dollar they put into advertising a webinar, they're getting $3 in revenue. And that's just on the front end. They're actually upselling these customers into 3 to 6K packages on the back end, creating massive overall ROI. But today we're just going to focus on the front end numbers. We've built them an evergreen machine that we're going to be able to run and scale like clockwork now. So let's dive into how we did it. I first want to tell you a little bit about the client. They are a real estate training institute where they train people in getting certified to serve the senior market. And so that's what the offer is. Just to dig into the stats though, these are the metrics. These are the high level stats for our performance. I do want to mention that this is a test budget. Again, this was the first time that they were doing any sort of advertising, really. Certainly first time they were hosting live webinars. And so they wanted, and we wanted them to get familiar with what that process looks like. And so they could optimize that process and really dive in how they structured the offer and how they're hosting it. And so that's what you're seeing here. We launched our first webinar on January 16th, and right out of the gate, we were positive ROI, ended up having a ROAS of 269%, which is fantastic. Another thing I want to point out here is the registration to attendee rate. So we had an average of about 50% show rate for these webinars consistently, which is just great to see. They followed all the best practices and recommendations we made in order to achieve that attendance rate. And then another thing I want to point out is that their thesis was that these real estate agents want to have this certification, have this training done in person. And so that's what they've been doing. They've been having these seminars where they go to specific locations throughout the US and they host these certification training sessions in person for multiple days. And that's what the offer was. That's what we were pushing. That's what we were helping them do. And we were able to sell some seats, but they also offer an online version of that where they can attend live classes and earn the same certification. And what they ended up discovering was that the majority of people actually wanted this online model, which is way easier for them because instead of having to go and pay for a venue and fly out to these locations and set it all up, they are now have been able to learn from the market directly that they actually want this online model. They want this online service. So out of the 25 sales that occurred through this advertising, only 6 of them actually wanted to come in person. And so now they're restructuring how they're viewing, oh, the market is telling us that they want this certification, they want this training, but they don't really want to come in person if they don't have to. So we're helping them develop this new offer and restructure it in such a way, prioritizing the online model. So it was a really great learning experience for them, and they're going to be able to see even higher ROI since they're going to be pivoting into this more online model. So I just wanted to point that out. Great learning experience for everybody involved. We're all really stoked on the numbers and how everything turned out. Again, the ROAS is fantastic and it's going to just continue to grow with those back-end upsells. But I want to show you really quick the process that they went through and what we did with them. So let me pull that up for you. So here we have the general process, high-level overview of what it actually looks like. So starting out for every client, we're actually going to take an analysis and figure out, okay, where are the eyeballs of your specific audience? What is going to be the best platform for you to start on, or platforms depending on the budget? Like I mentioned before, it was a test budget for them really early in the process of just starting this out. And so we did a test budget and ended up determining that Facebook and Instagram would be the best place for them to start. And so that's what you're seeing an example of here. What we'll do is we'll write out some scripts. We wrote out some scripts for them so that they could record some content for us. They shot us some really great high quality content, sent it back to us where we were able to polish it, make it look really nice for social media, put some B-roll and captions, wrote out all the ad copy, structured all the campaigns. And so that's what you're seeing here. So once people see the ad, if they click on it, they'll be taken to our landing page. And here we have a nice little VSL We like to call it a mini webinar because it's a little bit more proprietary to how we structure the VSL. And so once they have gone through this landing page, come to the landing page, they can sign up for the webinar to become a lead. And from that point, all kinds of automations are going to take place. So we write out all of the emails and text message automations, and of course encourage our client to reach out to them via phone as well, just so that you can establish that connection with the lead as soon as possible to build that relationship, and that actually increases the probability of them showing up. And we also have this AE secret nurturing sequence that you can see here, where we're utilizing a campaign, we're advertising them content so that we can get in front of these leads prior to the event happening. And the reason why that's important is because once somebody becomes a lead, they're going to see your ad, they're going to come to your landing page, you're going to sign up, right? You will typically have email and text message automations. People are pretty familiar with that. But even if they see your ad and they ended up following your profile, say they see it on Instagram, they click over and they follow you on Instagram, they might not see your content. And depending on if you're posting or not, they might not see any content from you on social media from the point that they become a lead. And so we put together this nurturing sequence that is specifically tailored to the offer of what we're pitching in this webinar, and so that we can drive the most attendance rate as possible. And so that's kind of high level. I could go into more specifics, but a little bit too detailed. Just moving further along in the process, we have all these automations going out, text message, email, and all that's happening prior to the webinar happening. And of course, you have the webinar happening, you're going to make the call to action, you're going to close some deals, and then you're going to have some people who don't sign up. And so that's why we have additional automations in place. So you're going to follow up with more text messages, more emails, and of course, following up with them via phone as well. Depending on if they didn't buy, if they didn't show, or they only showed a little bit, we got all kinds of automations in place for that, driving them to take that next step. And so that's kind of a high level overview of what the process that we went through with them looks like. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was helpful. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Talk soon.